We also can throw marketing to these as well. We have a multi-portal website and phone app that's in development that should be released shortly that will be speaking to these charging stations.
Excellent. Well, Don, our navigator, what do you think?
Let me ask you about the plugs, because each car has a different kind of plug.
Yes.
Will the plugs be universal? Will they be able to be plugged in? And also, what about how long does it take? How many miles between stops, for instance?
Right. Well, it's a good question, Don. It's a lot of the fears that a lot of people have in buying EVs. As far as the adapters are concerned, we haven't found common ground yet between the battle between Japan and the United States, SAE and CHAdeMO. There will be a point where those come together. In the meantime, it is necessary for these charging stations to have both adapters, and our charging stations do. Not all do, but our charging stations have level 2, level 3 combination. They have both CHAdeMO and SAE standards, as well as being able to charge Tesla units.
So how long does it take to charge an electric vehicle? I don't know a whole lot about it, but if somebody pulls into your thing, they're going in to get a bite to eat. How long? How long does that take?
Well, a couple of variables there. One is the car, right? So different cars charge at a different rate under different conditions. 2, there are 3 levels of charging. There's level 1, which is basically in your house at low voltage. There's a level 2, which is probably 3 hours for your average electric vehicle to charge, and then there's level 3, which is anywhere from 15 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on the car, right? So Tesla Model S can go 300 miles on a charge. A Nissan Leaf, I believe, is around 105 miles. So they do take different levels of time. But it is important to note that you can get to an 80% charge in a very short period of time. So
that's great. So Kevin, would you use it?
Yes, and it's very interesting to me. Do you have any statistics around the EV growth? So we know the EV cars are definitely heading in the right direction. Tesla has definitely built some great cars, but I'm not there yet, right? I drive a Suburban. I've got a lot of kids. They don't make a vehicle that fits my family yet. So what do we see in the horizon? And do you think that the charging stations are a catalyst to the growth, right? I mean, people aren't buying electric cars because they can't drive coast to coast yet, but with your solution, they will be, which will obviously jumpstart the EV sales.
Well, I think both Tesla and ourselves, and Nissan is gathering a little steam on that front as well, are focusing on putting these units on interstates. It is important to note that there are 19 electric vehicles currently, models on the market today, and several more than that are in development. Every auto manufacturer is engaged in spending hundreds of millions of dollars in the development of EV. Every type of vehicle is also being represented, from economy to intermediate to luxury to supercars to pickup trucks and vans.
Motorcycles.
And motorcycles. In fact, Harley-Davidson just announced an electric motorcycle, which we're pretty thrilled about and hope to get one.
Excellent.
Yes, so I think it's important to note, to take this down the road of a good question to ask is, okay, if you had a vehicle that you could do 400 or 500 miles on one charge, have almost zero maintenance on the car, buy it at the same price or below a current combustion engine vehicle, not contribute or contribute much less to carbon, perform better on speed and torque, would that be of interest to you?
Of course.
Right.
Anytime I can spend less time
Right.
going to a gas station every X amount of miles, a regular gas station, absolutely.
Right. Because another critical piece to this is the battery, right?
Right.
So we can buy a car, but the battery really is what determines range and so forth. So it's 2 weeks ago, I believe, Stanford just announced a battery that they've produced in test that will triple or quadruple the capacity of a battery.
Amazing.
So think about that for a minute, what that would do to the car industry.
Absolutely amazing.
I
Don, your thoughts,
got a couple
please.
questions. First of all, how many stations will you have across the country? Secondly, I'm an advocate of battery-operated vehicles. I've had golf carts in the past, and I presently have a pontoon boat that's battery-operated, and I love it because it's quiet and everything else. But the second question is the voltage. I plug my boat in now to 110.
Right.
obviously you have 240 probably, or 220. Tell me about the voltage and how many stations you'll have ultimately.
Sure. Okay. Well, the latter first is the voltage is at level 1. You can charge these vehicles at 110 volts. However, it will take days to charge the car. You can dry them at 208 volt off like your dryer circuit. So your dryer runs on a similar type thing where you could just plug into that, and that will charge you in the 3-hour zone. The quick chargers that we are putting on the interstates are DC chargers. They're a little more expensive and harder to place, but those charge in the quickest amount of time. So wherever there's electricity, you can charge a car. Okay. As far as the number of,
Right.
of stations, we're placing, our business plan includes 1,000 charging stations, GoE3 owned charging stations. So I want to differentiate from our retail business. These will be GoE3 owned charging stations in which our investors, over 65% of our capital from investment is secured, asset secured. So whether it be land lease or the charging station itself. So that's 1,000 charging stations. We're starting with Route 66, in which we will be following up with a pretty large media and marketing campaign that will involve a reality TV show as well as a couple of docudramas.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Sounds phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So Kevin, any other follow-up things as we wrap up our segment here?
One last
Would you like
question. Yeah, what's the time frame? Do you think you guys will deploy 1,000? So when can I start leveraging your network? Should I buy an EV?
Sure. Well, we're working on, we have several hundred locations that are in various stages of negotiation currently. We have contracts for around 14 today. We expect to be rolling this out. We have a 3 to 5 year exit strategy. So we have, with the acquisition of Verk, we have a national network of installation capability. So rolling this out is really dependent on capital.
Wonderful. Great. All right, Don.
Bob, do you have any kind of concept of what the percentage of operators now there are in electric cars and what it will be in 5 years?
Yeah, well, we can project that out to some extent. There's over 200,000 in the United States currently. The interesting part is, though, the trend for electric vehicle purchase is doubling year over year, month to month, year over year. So it's doubling, and that's without the new batteries that are coming out. So I expect that trend to probably increase.
Wonderful.
Great.
Well, again, Bob, we really appreciate you being here, giving us an overview. I think you guys ready to go out and get one of the electric vehicles? Well, you need to.
Yeah.
I need a big one.
We got to wait for
I need
some
a big
of your
one.
family
Well,
to graduate.
we have SUVs. There are SUVs.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
What about you, Don? We going to go get our motorcycle and?
No motorcycle
Yeah,
for me,
motorcycle.
but I like the idea that it's fast. You can get a sports car.
That's
All right,
right.
there we go. Great, wonderful. Well, thank you again, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our silver dollar rating just here in a minute. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.
So this is the point now where we do what we call the silver dollar rating. And this is where we're going to get the overview from both Kevin and from Don. And on a scale and a rating of 1 to 5 with silver dollars, they're going to go ahead and they're going to do it. So first of all, Kevin and Don, personal overview, need, outlook, what do you think? Exciting? You think this is something that the market can use and need and wants?
Absolutely. I think there's a huge need. I think these guys are at the front of the movement. Tesla's only focused on their cars right now.
Okay.
So there's a major need for the 19 other electric vehicle models out there, and these guys are solving, I think, a major problem. So
wonderful.
I think the outlook is very bright for these guys and for anybody who's in this space because it's only going to get bigger.
Don, Navigator, what do you think?
I totally agree with you. Obviously, with the green revolution, with things that are going on, it makes sense. I think it's going to be a big factor will be the development of the battery life. And I'm sure there's a lot of companies that are working on that so they can have extended battery life. But clearly, the economies make sense, and it's an exciting field.
Great. Okay, so here we go. First with Kevin. On a 1 to 5 silver dollars, how many are you going to put down? 5 being the best. We got 2, 3, 4.
And I would do a half until they get a Suburban. There's
Got
an
it.
electric vehicle to fit my family. So I'm going to do 4.5.
4.5. Okay, so he's got a 4.5. 4.5 on the silver dollar. They'll come out with the Suburban, I'm sure, eventually.
And I'm
here.
ready.
All right, Don. Now, on the
Kevin?
scale of 1 to 5.
I got it. Kevin, I see that you're both heads and tails. I'm all heads. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. And I thought Bob did a great job and he explained it well. 5.
All right, so as you see, we've got a 4.5 from Kevin, and we've got a $5 silver from Don. Thank you again. Thank you for seeing us on Eliances, part of on the Wake Up America Network show.